Creating a tactics in Football Manager can be very hard. There are literally millions of choices you can make, and most times you're not really sure how it will translate on the pitch. And I should know this because I had the exact same feeling when I started playing the game. That's why today I am going to reveal the systematic approach that totally changed how I create tactics for my teams in Football Manager. Because I want you to avoid the mistakes I made in the beginning and create more enjoyable tactics. We will achieve this by focusing on the most important aspects of tactics creation that most Football Manager players completely miss. By the end of this video, you will finally understand how to create tactics for your team in Football Manager, so you can start playing more entertaining football and fulfill your ambitions of becoming a top manager. Before we start creating tactics in FM, we have to first look at the tactical board, and here we're going to look at how we want to play. We're going to try to understand why we play the way we do. So this is going to be your tactical masterclass. So the first principle we're going to talk about is the center. Now, if you play chess, you will understand how important the center is. The same principle applies to Football Manager. Basically, at all times, if we can, we want the ball to be in the center, because when the ball is in the center, we have a higher chance of scoring a goal. If the ball is out wide, the chance of we scoring is low. If the ball is in the center, the chance of scoring a goal is much more higher. So the first principle is we want to always have the ball in the center. And now I'm going to show you how we use this to our advantage. The second principle is we always want to have what is called numeric superiority. We always want to have a man advantage. If you watch teams like Man City, if you watch teams like PSG, you will always hear them talk about finding the free man. Even Barcelona, the same thing, finding the free man. And that's basically what we are going to try to do. We are going to try to find the free man. So let me show you how we implement these principles from the ground up. First things first, we've already said that this area, we don't want the ball in this area. In fact, we will have the ball in this area, but we want it mostly in the center. So what do we do? Now, you would see teams like Man City and co. What they would do is they would instruct the wingers to be wide to offer them width. So the wingers would go out wide and offer width. And with the wingers going out wide to offer width, what ends up happening is that you would notice the opposition fullbacks, they would track the wingers and they would go out wide so that they can defend. But what ends up happening is that the center backs, they become lonely because there's nobody to protect them. And this is where this, three-man defensive midfield comes into place. So this three-man defensive midfield would look to protect the center backs, and we don't want this. We don't want them doing that. So the first principle, we create width. So we push our wide men very high so that they can create width. And the next principle is we create our attacking base. So this is known as the attacking base. The attacking base consists of 3 players. Some teams, they do it with 2 players. Some teams, they do it with 4 players. We're going to do it with 3 players because it just makes sense to do it with 3 players. So let me show you how the progression works. Let me show you how it works. So let's say the goalkeeper makes the pass to the right center half, and then the opposition presses, right? So this is where we bait the first press. Now we will recycle possession to the next center back in hopes of baiting the next press. In fact, let's do this. Let's assume that we start here and we bait the press from this guy, from their, that would be their left winger, opposition's left winger. Then we move the ball here, and then we bait the press from their striker. So then we move the ball here. So now number 3 is the free man. And during build up, we actually want our players to be here. It should be really high. So these three players are very important. These three players are, what you hear Pep talk about, playing in those tight spaces. So this is where you would see Kevin De Bruyne or Ousmane Dembele. So this is where they play. That spaces. So now, number 3 is the free man. So you know the sequence. Let's say number 7 pushes up to press. This team is very aggressive, and number 7 has pushed up to press. In this case, we just move the ball to our single pivot, which is number 6. The best way I can define this role is you think of your Rodris, your Vitinhas. That's the role. That's the pivot. So he gets the ball. Now he's the free man because number 3 is occupied with number 7. Number 5 is occupied with number 9. Number 4 is occupied with number 11. So he becomes the free man. Now, if you remember, we want to have numeric superiority. If you just look at the center, we actually do. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they have 1, 2, 3. So we have the numeric superiority. Now, let's see when number 6 gets the ball. Let's assume that number 10 goes to press. With number 10 pressing, if we want to make this really aggressive, you would notice in some cases that number 2 will push inside. So this is where the role of the inverted fullback. You would see this with Man City. You see this with PSG as well. So let's assume number 10 goes to press, then number 2 comes inside. Number 6 will lay the ball off to number 2. Again, we want to play through the center. So what ends up happening is number 8 goes to press. Now, we want to look for the free man. Actually, here we have 2 men free. So what would generally happen is we would play with a false 9 and he will drop. Now, as you can see, with him dropping, we have the numeric superiority. So we can find number 9. Because he's now the free man. Because see how we're always looking for the free man? And let's say that number 6 goes to press. Now, when number 6 goes to press, like I said, we want to have number 8 and number 10 really high. Now, when number 6 goes to press, we make the pass maybe to number 8. So number 8 will come close. We make the pass to him. Number 5 will come to press. Now with number 10 being really high up, all that needs to happen is he makes the run into the space. After number 9 gets the ball, number 8 coming to get the ball, he pulls number 5 out of position. Would be a one-touch pass, so he will get the ball, and number 10 running into space will make the pass to number 10, and he's gonna score the goal. So now you could see how we kept looking for the free man. We always kept looking for the free man, and so we started with 4, moved the ball to 5, 3, moved the ball to 6, 2, 9, 8, 10, and we score. Now, if you're wondering, it's like, oh, well, this only works with a 4-3-3. What about if the team is playing with a back 5? Guys, the idea is the same. The idea is the same. It doesn't matter what they play with. They can play with a back 10. We don't care. We'll still look to play the same way. Now, let's assume that they're playing with a back 3. So we have the classic 5-3-2 shape. 5-3-2 shapes. So let's go back to our starting positions. So you would see, the thing is, in real life, you would see teams work on this structure over and over again, basically learning in different ways how to find the free man. Because once you can find the free man, your job is done. So let's go again. So let's say this time they're playing with a 5-3-2. The principles are still the same. We want to progress the ball through the center, always through the center. Now we have our wingers offering us width. They give us width. And we start again from the center backs. Let's say the center back this is why we play out from the back. We're always going to play out from the back because we want to bait the press. Now, when again we bait the press, number 9 presses. With number 9 pressing, of course, we want to have these guys push up. I just miss that. We want to have them push up and just work with a single pivot. So number 9 presses, number 4, number 5 comes to offer support. Then number 7 goes to press. Number 3 comes in and he becomes the free man. And now, as you notice, again, here we don't have the numbers. In fact, here they have the numbers, but this is very important. What ends up happening is sometimes they will come to press. Number 10 will come to press. But let's assume that this team is very, they want to play low block. So this is the case where number 3 progresses the ball. Why is he progressing the ball? So he can bait the press. So when he progresses the ball, number 10 has to come and press. So number 10 will come and press. When number 10 comes to press, we give number 6 the ball, which is the pivot. Now with number 6 having the ball, number 8 can come to press, right? And again, like we said, if we want to make this really, we want to make it really aggressive, number 2 comes inside. We push the ball over to number 2, which is our right fullback. Then number 11 of the opposition team comes to press, and then we have our false 9, which is number 9. So we have this guy's really pushing back. We have false 9 here, number 9 who drops to collect the ball. He receives the ball. We have number 9 now in a lot of space, and he will definitely drag number 6 to come to press. And this is where we do the one-touch combination. So number 8 drops, pulls number 5, gets the ball. He can run inside, he can run to score, or he can have number 10 just beat his man and run, and voila, we got the goal. Now, I know on paper it sounds really simple, like, oh, this is what we want to do. Yeah, I know. It sounds really simple, but the principles are actually simple, and we just have to, it takes a little getting used to implement this in FM, and we will look at that as well. So this is basically the principle, and we just want to progress to the center, look for the free man, and score as many goals as possible. Now that we've looked at how to defend, let's look at now that we've looked at how to attack, let's look at how we defend. Going back to our starting positions, when we look to defend, first of all, when we look to attack, we try to be as big as possible. But when we look to defend, we try to compress and narrow the spaces as much as possible. So first things first, the back line has to stay compact. They have to close all the spaces. Now, because we know how important this areas are, because if the opposition is able to put players here, then we're in trouble. So we want to avoid giving the opposition that ability to put players in those places. So we put our own players here. So we have to have this block, this defensive block that is offering support to the defense. So we close those spaces, which means that it becomes almost impossible for the opposition to put players in those spaces. And because we don't want our left back coming out of position, right? Because if he comes out of position, then the spaces becomes open and the opposition can exploit it. So they could probably do like a 3v2. So if he comes here and he's here, then they would have a field day with us. So just make the ball here. He's going to come out and then he's in on goal. Just make a pass here and they can score. We want to avoid this because we don't want that. We want to avoid that. So in order to avoid that, what we're going to do is we're going to have our fullback stay and tuck in, and then instead we'll have our winger track back. If our winger is tracking back, kind of offers support to the fullback, because now if they try to do that now, maybe let's say number 2 gets the ball. Now we have our winger, number 11 pressing. He gets the ball. Let's say number 10 pushes up to press. Well, if they try to make that pass, well, he's there to intercept it, because even if he tries to run, he's going to intercept the pass. So this is how we look to defend. So this is why we have him staying back and come compress the space and have the winger track back. The same thing happens here as well. On the right hand side, we want our wingers tracking back. We want these three players here offering support to the center backs. Why? So that they can track the runners into the half space. So this is very important. So we want to have that ability to, track those runners into the half space. And sometimes we might also have the 9 just drop. And this way we have a very compact structure. If, as you can see in the middle, we have the numbers. If they try to play to the center, we can bring the ball back. If they try to play out wide, we can, counter their attacks. So this is how we will look to defend. So now we've looked at how we will attack and how we will defend. Now let's see how we implement it in Football Manager.